All right. Some of our featured employers today are SWOZ Leadership, Geico, TLC International School, Counseling and Disability Services here at Regent, the English Language Institute China, and the CBN Prayer Center. And so we will most likely follow this order. However, if employers do need to be flexible and move around, we are able to accommodate them. Just send me a message in the text box, and we will make that happen. And also, please note, because we're recording this, we want to make sure we use the chat box to communicate with participants. So students, you can raise your hand to ask questions verbally of employers. So that way, when you're messaging, you want to go ahead and message Sarah individually if you don't have a webcam or a way to talk. And that way, Sarah can ask the question and everyone can hear it. And we'll have those times of Q&A right after the individual employer presentations. And Saranet has already welcomed us with prayer. And so what we will do is we'll go through the slides with the employers, and it'll take about 20 to 25 minutes each. And then there'll be a time of engagement where you can actually talk to that employer and ask any question you feel is necessary to learning more about the company, in case the presentation wasn't enough or if you have more questions. And also, if you are just interested in that line of work, because we understand with our online population that a lot of you might not be in the same locations as some of these employers, but might still be interested in their particular career field or area of interest. And of course, we encourage you to work with us on CareerLink or look in your own communities for similar companies and explore opportunities available with them. And so questions for all of our employers, we're of course going to ask what is something about your organization that you can't learn from the website. We're going to ask if you can describe the organization's culture. We're going to walk through the hiring process at these organizations, and then why did you come to work for this organization? Of course, a more personal question, but it's always good to ask, especially even on job interviews, I find. To ask that of the person either talking to you in an interview or presenting, because once you get an idea of why they do what it is they do with that organization, you can learn more, really understand whether its mission is really tied to its employees. And of course, if you would like to apply for opportunities, we have CareerLink. We have a link to that there. If you haven't used CareerLink before, you can find it on Career Services website. That's regent.edu/CS, and you just scroll all the way to the bottom. Employers can create their own accounts to post jobs, and students, you can create your own accounts to post your resumes and explore opportunities. And of course, it's a very powerful tool. And if anytime you have any questions about how it works, you can always reach out to someone here in Career Services, and we'd be more than happy to show you. So first, we will start with SWOZ Leadership. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead, hand over the presentation control, and we'll get started.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Looking forward to sharing a little bit about what we're doing and see if this might be interesting to you. So my name is Scott Wozniak, and I am the CEO and founder of SWOZ Leadership. And I'm a Regent alum. I graduated with a master's in organizational leadership in 2004, which is getting to be a few years now. So, but it's the Regent, just total fun side fact that has no critical importance. Regent, not only am I an alumni, so is my brother, my sister-in-law, and my other sister-in-law. So we've got quite a bit of Regent in our family. So big fans of what you guys are doing and excited to be able to share some of what we're doing. So we are a leadership development company, and we do a variety of things. So I'm going to start by giving you a big picture, and then I'm going to drill into the most immediate opportunity that I think will maybe be the most interest to all of you. But we do have a variety of things that we do. So at our core, we have coaching, so one-on-one executive coaching for a whole variety of organizations. We do training, everything from keynotes at large events to monthly workshops as part of a 12-month program that we offer for people. We have an online program with some pretty cool cutting-edge technology that we partnered with another company to put together for us. And so we've got all sorts of interactive online subscriptions. So that's kind of what we do. We work with a bunch of different types of organizations. We've got 4 major divisions in the company, from healthcare to churches, to the marketing ad agency world. And then lastly is Chick-fil-A. And I'll talk a little more about Chick-fil-A in a second, just in terms of there's an opportunity in partnership with some of them. But I'll pause on that one just because it's an interesting part of my story and especially relevant to what I'll talk about here in a second. So part of my journey is an interesting one. My career's taken all sorts of left turns that I never expected. I started actually in musical theater performance, grew up on the stage as a child performer, singing, dancing, doing all sorts of ridiculous things that have made for some interesting Facebook photos. And in the process, got a degree in it. That's my bachelor's degree, musical theater performance. Did some professional work and said, I don't actually want to do this. I mean, I liked it, but I really loved making a difference. And I discovered theater was just my vehicle. I wasn't actually passionate about the craft. I just liked making a difference. And so I also grew up in the church with a real committed Christian family. And so said, well, let me try this, and God opened some doors. And so I got involved in youth ministry and sports camps and focus on the family. I worked for them for a little while, and then pastoral ministry, and founded a couple churches. And so we got into ministry and quickly became a leader, and really struggled and discovered that this leadership thing matters. Like, yes, I got to have good theology, and yes, I need to have, good communication skills, but there was a whole other round of stuff. I remember a pivotal moment where I worked for this really nice guy with good theology who was a really bad leader. And I was like, oh, I mean, I like him and I don't disagree with him, and he's a decent preacher, and he's just holding the whole church back. And so all that to say, I became passionate about leadership and started studying it and reading it, and books turned into conferences, until actually that's what brought me to Regent, was a chance to get the Master's in Organizational Leadership. And had a blast through there, got connected with life coaching folks and got into leadership coaching, started my own organization, which is SWOZ Leadership. But long story short, I graduated high school in the Atlanta area, and some of my friends from the Atlanta area actually work at the Chick-fil-A corporate headquarters, which is based here in Atlanta. And they were like, gosh, you should talk to Chick-fil-A about leadership. And I'm just going to pause. I'm hearing some really heavy breathing into a microphone. I don't know if that's just me, but if it is a little interesting. So if somebody could check and see if their mouth is right next to that, that might be helpful for all of us.
And of course, if you're online, if you could go ahead and mute your microphone right now, just make sure that's muted. And same if you're on a telephone, that would be a great help. And then, of course, we'll just unmute them whenever we ask questions.
Sweet. Okay, so long story short, I ended up connecting with Chick-fil-A, and they had the most amazing leadership development team there. So I worked with them for a while, for over 8 years, doing leadership development at the corporate headquarters. And so a big part of the company now, the 4th division, is just serving Chick-fil-A franchises, and we work with them all over the country on a variety of stuff. So it's been great. So let me show you a bit about the particular opportunity that we have. So we're working with all these companies doing coaching and training and a whole variety of stuff. And the Chick-fil-A franchisees came to me and started talking, and we ended up developing in partnership with them a really, really unique opportunity for leaders. So let me click through this here. All right, so trying to click the slide, and it's not seeming to go here. There we go. All right, so here's the mission of our company. We're a leadership development company. We're based in Atlanta, but we work all over the country. Of course, I'll be the contact person that'll do this stuff here for you. All right, I'm having trouble. There we go. Now it's working. All right. Okay, so we put together this opportunity where we are recruiting college graduates, and it could be undergrad, it could be grad. We need folks to have finished, and I'll explain more about why. But after you graduate, we have a 2.5-year leadership development program. It's kind of a tour of duty. That's a train you, mentor you, get you ready to go as a leader. Oh, but it's also a full-time job. You get paid, you get benefits. It's a real job. That's a real development program. And it's a really unique hybrid of both. So There we go. So I partnered with Chick-fil-A, and I need to pause here because I loved Chick-fil-A before I worked there. But when folks came to me and said, hey, you should work with Chick-fil-A, the real truth is my first reaction, even to my close friends from high school, is like, yeah, thanks, but like, I don't think you get what I do. Like, I'm this leadership guy. Like, what would I do at a fast food joint? Like, it was a good sandwich, but like, what would I do? And I mean, I had no idea. And it's not just a cool place. From a business standpoint, from an organizational standpoint, they're not like anyone else in their space. And there's I think a legitimate fast food stigma to careers. Like, we go to college in part so we don't have to work in fast food. Like, that's the joke, right? Like, oh, you failed and you ended up back flipping fries, right? Like, that's the bad deal. So let me just talk about Chick-fil-A and talk about how much bigger and different they are. Let me give you some numbers just to give you a sense of scale. The average Subway last year did about $900,000 in sales per location. KFC and Arby's both clocked in about 1.2 million per restaurant. The average Chick-fil-A, just pick a number in your head. What do you think they did? I mean, they do well, but of course it's only 6 days that they're open. So how did they do? Well, the average Chick-fil-A did over 5 million, almost 5.4 million in sales last year. Mm-hmm. They are significantly bigger and it's not just, gosh, they're nice people. Like, a Taco Bell might have 20 people on staff. At a peak rush time, they might have 6 people in the restaurant. Chick-fil-A will have 80 to 100, some of them 120 in the very biggest ones, people in one restaurant, with 40 to 50 people at one level. In a small little, like a typical franchise, one manager does all the work and it's not that exciting. In a Chick-fil-A level, they need this next level. Like, there's the workers, there's this level that most people don't see that's behind the scenes, and they are college graduated directors of operations, finance, HR, marketing, full-time professionals running a multi-million-dollar organization. And by the way, the people I partner with are in the upper end of the scale. So the average company of Chick-fil-A franchise that I work with is between 8 to 10 million in scale. So these are large organizations that are passionate about, yes, making a difference in people's lives. I mean, that's not hype. It's legit. They talk about the root word restaurant being a place of restoration, same root word, and that's what they want to be. And the reason that the franchisees, part of their whole like profile of who they look to partner with in a franchisee, is somebody whose passion is leadership development. I mean, these people literally get together in groups and brag to each other about how many leaders they have launched out of their organization. And they have been sustaining ridiculous growth. They are set to do their 17th straight year of double-digit sales growth in an industry where holding flat is acceptable and a 1% increase is something to throw a party about. They are just crushing it year after year after year. So here's the problem. These groups are suffering from the fast food stigma. They've grown to the point where they're running these massive multi-million-dollar organizations. They have a hunger to develop leaders. And the problem is, the better you are, the less likely you are to take a serious look at Chick-fil-A. Enter my company. So we find and connect leaders like you guys into not just a regular job. We designed a program for them. So this is the job. It's a 2.5-year experience. It's defined experience. Good pay and benefits. And when I say good pay and benefits, we're talking $40,000 to $45,000 a year as average. There are cost of living variations. There's a couple of places where it's very rural and it might be a little lower than that, but trust me, it's super great living costs there, like one of the suburbs of Atlanta here. But there's also places like downtown LA, which if you've not visited, let me tell you, it costs more to live in downtown LA. I think they even tax you for the air you breathe out there. It's a beautiful town, but it's a trip. So yeah, you get more, but of course you need more. So, but it's a good pay, and health insurance, one of my favorite benefits, free food, gym membership, cell phone coverage. I mean, it's a sweet job. But again, it's not just a job. It's something that we train you. You get personally mentored. Once a month you sit down. You've got leadership curriculum that my company provides. And some of it is for a whole team to go through, and some of it is specifically tailored to you and the actual tasks you're working on month to month. We write custom stuff for you and send it to you to help you actually learn how to do this. It is not a desk job. Now, this is important. This is not one of those jobs where you sit there and work on analysis all day long. This is a job that requires people interaction, juggling 100 different tasks in a given week, dealing with surprises in the business where suddenly 100 people show up and we all need to all hands on deck, step in and rearrange the team and call somebody in off. This is the kind of work you guys at the management level would do. Call somebody in from offside and figure out the strategy and say, hey, we need to go order more product quickly. And it's a fast-paced, exciting kind of scenario. And it's deliberately designed to train you as a leader. In fact, you'll even rotate through different roles in the business every few months, probably about 6 months on average. You rotate to another area, from out front of the house to operations in the back, to marketing, to learning finance, to doing an HR deal. You'll hire people, train them. You may even have to fire people as a part of that if that happens. And you'll actually be the person doing it. Now, I'm going to pause. This is really critical. If you want to be a leader, if you see leadership as a part of your future career or you're looking to grow, there's this critical shift where you move from theory to practice. And what I learned in my own journey is that being a leader is a lot like being a musician. I mean, you can study theory all day long. You can listen to other people lead and do music or whatever the metaphor, process it, like really understand it intellectually. But at the end of the day, if you want to be a musician, you have to make music. You got to pick up an instrument or a microphone, and you actually have to create it and practice the skills. There's a certain amount of hands-on real-life practice you simply can't replicate with the best educational theory in the world. Now, we provide you that. There's all sorts of stuff based on what I learned at Regent and the studies I've been doing and the work since, where we're constantly giving you the best and the greatest and teaching you, but we're doing it and saying, here's this month's bite-sized chunk, because guess what? You have to do this kind of work this month. The month you're working on hiring stuff, we're going to talk to you about how you hire well. The month that you're dealing with how do you cast a vision and make a big change, because there's a whole new process we're trying to implement. We're going to talk about how people deal with change, and it'll be the stuff you're in the middle of doing. It's not a theory, it's a job, and you'll be paid for it and you'll get benefits for it. And oh, by the way, we'll be teaching you and helping you think every single month, 2.5 years worth, how do we do this process? And I can't pause, but I can't go on without saying, gosh, the Chick-fil-A brand on your resume is not a small thing. It's a 2.5 year experience, and we don't expect that your entire experience is just to stay with Chick-fil-A. The idea is to say, how do we launch you? This is a launching program. So you've got a bunch of options at the end of this 2.5 years. Of course, one is to stay on with the restaurant and continue leading and learning. And some of you, if you did this, might discover there's actually a pretty remarkable career path in these organizations. General managers, if you become kind of the right-hand man or right-hand woman of an organization leader and work at that franchise level and partner with franchisees, there's, gosh, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, chance to mentor, develop people, lead teams. There's a real career there. So that's an option, but that is not what we're asking of you. And if you want to do that, sweet. But if you don't, no worries. We're asking for you to give us 2.5 years of real work and put your heart and soul into it to grow, to be ready to learn. And if you're up for that, great. And at the end, we will help you launch. We're not just okay with you launching. We will help you launch. So one option, you could pursue a staff role at the Chick-fil-A corporate headquarters here in Atlanta. There's over 2,000 folks, 80-acre campus. It's like the Disneyland of corporate offices. It's pretty amazing. And they have a ridiculous number of applicants trying to get in. Having this kind of leadership experience and a recommendation from one of the franchisees they trust significantly increases your chances of getting a serious look by them. Of course, you might want to pursue becoming a franchisee, owning your own business, running a restaurant, being this kind of pillar of the community that mentors and makes a difference. And if that's interesting to you, just historically, this is not a quota, but historically speaking, 2/3 of the people they select to become franchisees are people who have come out of restaurant leadership programs like ours. And so we have people who've gone on to do that at the end of this program. But gosh, you might not even be interested in Chick-fil-A. Like, no worries. You just want the chance to start your career as a leader, to move from, I think I've got potential, to, hey, I'm actually a leader. And hereafter, this job and following, you are a proven, settled leader. So yes, it's like now everything afterwards is like, well, I am a leader. And this job's not just leading people. To be truthful, what actually happens is within 6 months, you will be leading people who lead people. You're at that level of leadership in the restaurant. And so pretty cool deal. We happen to have a huge, because of the rest of our business, remember, we coach, consult, work with all these placement firms and organizations. And gosh, if you're interested, we will actually facilitate the introduction, consult with you, and help you prep your interviews, help you set up your LinkedIn profile, resume. Oh, and do this on the job with the full awareness of your employer at the time to say, hey, let's help launch this person. And we will help you get the next job. Now, I can't guarantee what you'll get, because ultimately I can't make another organization hire you. But man, we can make you incredibly competitive and help you out. All right, so we look at the next thing. If this is interesting to you, this is what we're looking for. First, let me note, no Chick-fil-A experience required. If you have some, it's kind of a cool bonus, because you get to skip some of the early training process and kind of jump right into the cooler things. Because if not, there's probably a couple of months where you're going to rotate through the different parts and just kind of learn the basics and build relationships. It's good for credibility. It's a great learning experience, just kind of see how things work. So you get to skip a couple of months of basic training if you've got it, but it's really not critical. We're not worried about the skills. What we're really looking for is the right heart, the right mind. I mean, if you're that kind of a leader, which is why I come to places like Regent to find folks, because this is the place where, like, these are the values, hopefully, that connect with you. If you're this kind of people, then we could teach you skills. I got training for that. We have all that material. That's easy. What's hard to find is the self-starters, the people who are like, no, I'm going to get up and, like, I'm not waiting around for someone to give me permission and tell me what to do. Like, I'm coming up with things. I'm looking. They're hungry to learn. It's a learning program. If you like to settle in and be comfortable, like, please don't apply, because we'll all just be mutually frustrated by the end of the 2.5 years. Servant spirit. You got to actually take emotional pleasure out of seeing other people succeed. That's the heart of leadership for us. Drive for excellence. Chick-fil-A does not get its growth and all this stuff by being an organization that's casual and, hey, you know what? Like, it's excellence. They care about the little things and really want to do great work. And gosh, if you're going to be a leader, we need you to be a communicator. You're going to be a leader of leaders. I mean, you're going to have to be able to communicate things that make it all the way down the chain that everybody gets. You're going to have to inspire. You're going to have to hold people accountable. Again, we can help you with some of the skills on that, but we need basic communications. Interesting little bit. We have these locations all over the country. So it really doesn't matter where you are as long as you're U.S., because Chick-fil-A is not outside the U.S. So we don't have any of those there. But I mean, gosh, I had a conversation 2 days ago about a location in Eugene, Oregon. The day before that, we're talking about Houston. We've got places, we just signed up somebody near Martha's Vineyard up in Cape Cod area. We've got South Florida, Denver, you name it, LA. I mean, yes, Knoxville, Tennessee. We're literally all over the country. So if you're interested, location is not the deal. Now, I will say this. If you're up for an adventure, this is a great time sometimes for folks who maybe you don't have a family or your family's in a place where you're up for moving. Go for 2.5 years. Go to Denver, right? Hang out in the mountains. Or we got some really cool stuff in Richmond. So those of you who are near there, we got Virginia Beach and Richmond's got some of our best opportunities right now are out there. So anyways, it's all over the place. We do need a degree. Now, here's why we need a degree, because it's a launching program. Most of our opportunities following this, they come to us and they say, well, we only look at people who have at least a bachelor's degree. We really don't care about the actual major, because if you're the right kind of person, we can train you on the skills. We want to see that you did well. We want to know why you picked that major. I mean, but hey, let's be honest. I'm a musical theater guy, right? If I can learn this stuff, then who am I to say that anyone else can't? So now, master's students, I know we've got a few folks here in that category. I want to say two things. First, totally cool. As long as this is a full-time job. If you're willing to do your school on the side and still have time and energy for a full-time job, go get it. I did my master's while working full-time. Awesome. They're totally open to that. And I want you to know we have very few, where we have tons of these open positions at just kind of this learning to lead level, and kind of, we're going to grow you and figure that out. For those of you who maybe are in a different phase of your career, maybe you're 10, 15 years down the road, you've already led at a senior level, and you're looking for the next opportunity. We have a few opportunities where they're looking for that kind of general manager level. In fact, I've got one that's looking for somebody. It's kind of a premium deal that's right now said, hey, I'd talk to somebody, and we're talking 100,000 plus, but it's going to be someone who's already been a senior leader and run a bunch of stuff. So just a couple of those where we have tons of these other opportunities, which this could grow into that, but these people might be different. So degree-wise, that's kind of the deal for us. I mentioned pay and benefits. I want to give you a little more details just so you can see. I want to be clear, this is a sample package. Because we work with a bunch of different locations all over the country, over 100 different franchisees with open stuff right now for us, for example. Each one negotiates slightly differently on the package, which version of healthcare they provide, what exactly their pay range. Again, there's 6 different price ranges in the country for Chick-fil-A, and so they're all going to have slightly different pay for their staff based on, LA is going to be very different than Knoxville, Tennessee. They're all competitive for their area, but again, I wanted to give you something tangible so that it's not just fuzzy and loose. Hey, if you're interested in this, then you can check us out at the AscentLeadershipProgram.com, AscentLeadershipProgram.com. It's got all this information, more details, plus there's links where you can just click on it and start the application process, put your name and information in. I want to say, if you're interested in talking just to me about what's next, then yeah, so these are the opportunities. Yes, I'm going to give you I thought I forgot this. I'm going to give you my personal email just in case you guys have questions about something broader than this particular opportunity. So my email is Scott, SCOTT, at SWOZLeadership.com, and you can see that in the name. So yes, Scott at SWOZLeadership.com. And here, I'm going to put it in the chat to everyone, just so everyone can see. There we go. Okay, so please contact me anytime. Let's talk and set up some opportunities. So that's the official presentation. I'll pause and we'll do the kind of Q&A conversation point. And thanks for giving me a bit of your time to tell you what we're up to.
All right. Thank you so much, Scott.
My pleasure.
That sounds like quite the opportunity.
We're having a good time with it, I'll tell you that.
What do you enjoy most about it?
Honestly, so it's kind of funny. I've half stumbled into doing recruiting-ish kind of stuff like this, like presenting opportunities, but I'm still a leadership development guy. I love most hearing the stories. We do monthly communications and connections with all the leaders in the program. And so, yeah, I mean, we just got an email this morning from a guy saying how much the last thing we sent helped him, and he's right in the middle of that. It's just so satisfying. I mean, to be frank, when we're putting this together and designing this, I was designing the job I wish I could have had back in the day. Like, somebody would have given me this opportunity. I don't have, God's blessed me, blessed the socks off me. Like, I'm super grateful. I don't have regrets, but man, I just love that. I love seeing the impact of everybody and the growth. I mean, that's why we do this. So just to kind of see these leaders take off and see their growth. It's really fun. So.
Hi, Scott. This is Jesse. Can I ask a question?
Please.
All right. So I know that you were saying that we can move. It's a 2.5-year deal, right?
Yep.
Okay. So is there preparations or do you help with the move? Or is that just kind of like on you?
Excellent question. It's a location by location decision whether they're going to provide moving assistance. So it's not a standard. So I couldn't guarantee that every location would do it. There are a few that say, hey, that's a part of the opportunity is, hey, if you're going to make a move to us, we'll take care of that. But location by location. And so when we get into that level, if you were interested, we would probably, and I should probably explain the process. I think I skipped that. So here's what the process would look like. You apply. That's the first step, is that, and that puts you in our system. We capture your contact information, kind of makes it official. So now we have record of, oh, here we started a conversation with Jesse, for example. And then once we've done a little bit of online stuff, then we move to some interviews with my company, and we get to know you a bit. We look at your resume, and after we'll talk twice with you ourselves, one longer call, one shorter call. The shorter call is for us to kind of say, okay, hey, we think Jesse's the right kind of person, but now we need to kind of get into the nuances because we have so many locations. Where does Jesse want to go? What's his style? And we're trying to pick a spot that we'd say, hey, I think this is the right match for you. Passion, personality style, passion, specific job details, like here's what you're looking for, and we try to make a match. Then you have an interview at that location, and we don't force anybody on the location, so they always have veto right to kind of get to know their folks and say yes or no. The vast majority of our folks, just because we already know what they're looking for, get in. But that being said, that's the level in that location conversation is when we get to that phase is where we would say, okay, you're interested, but it happens that it's the next state over for you. Okay, let's talk about move scenarios. And with that location, then you could discuss whether they offer assistance or not. It typically takes 3 to 4 weeks to go through the process, assuming that there's no delays where, you're unavailable for a week or two. In 3-4 weeks, you're at the location talking details, and assuming everything would go amazing, you'd probably have an offer by the end of 4 weeks to say, okay, we know this, we've worked out all the details, I know my package, yay or nay. So that's the typical process for us.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
After the 2.5 years, where do people typically go if they don't stay with Chick-fil-A? Where are some of the locations that leaders have gone, and what are some of their successes?
Excellent. So there's a chunk that just go off to other large corporations. Everything from Marriott to Coca-Cola to a manufacturing company that does food manufacturing stuff. So they just use this kind of as an opportunity to get some experience and credibility and do some stuff like that. There's a few that have gone to startups. We've got a thriving set of connections. I do a lot of coaching, consulting in the kind of startup community here in Atlanta and also in Chattanooga. And actually I've got some connections with startups in Israel that we do work with. And so some of the folks have gotten excited and said, man, I want to be really entrepreneurial. Let's hop in and join a startup and help them launch. And so that's another space. But honestly, a third category for us has been ministry. We have a lot of folks that come and say, hey, I got a lot of valuable leadership experience. A guy who's just talking to, 2 days ago, is going from a leadership program to help start a church. And he's going to be part of a church launch team. So he's going to be the youth pastor there. It's going to be a fun opportunity for him. So there's, it's a pretty good variety of folks. So, yeah.
And I would imagine that a lot of those placements are pretty strategic too, based off of someone's interests and skills and what they've really proven through the program.
So yes. Okay. So the last 6 months of the program, we start talking to you about what you want to do, what your dreams and goals are, and who you are. The last 3 months, we are actively working with you to help you identify the ideal next step and make connections for you for all the people we know in that space. And so it's totally driven by you, what you want, what you're interested in. Even early in the process, one of the first major conversations we have is what's your long-term dream? You don't have to make decisions at the beginning, but from the beginning, we're thinking, where are we headed? How do we help get you there? So this whole thing is customized. If you recall, part of my roots is kind of leadership coaching. And so that whole one-on-one customized development thing, that's a big part of our deal. I see a question here that someone sent me privately about recruiting international students. And so I want to share that this has been a challenge for us. And we are working with a visa lawyer trying to figure out some of the details. But part of the problem we're running into is that we're a 2.5-year experience. And the standard student visa to the U.S. gives you 1 year of work engagement. And the whole program is designed to kind of, the part of the whole 2.5 years, like why that time? It's both long enough to help you grow as a leader, but it's also long enough for that individual location, that business, to feel like we're going to invest heavily in you and you're going to be around long enough to raise up a leadership, raise up the next level, take on major projects and make a difference. A year, I remember I mentioned, it takes you a couple months just to learn the basics. It'll take you a couple more months to start figuring out leadership and pick your niche. if you're gone in a year, and we got to prep you the last 2-3 months to help you launch it, you only get 3-4 months of work that you're not somewhere else and focused on something else. So international students, we're having a challenge trying to figure out how we do this in a way that works for you. So I'm actively working on it. We've run across some phenomenal candidates that are international students. I do a lot of international business. Actually, I have another company. We do international stuff that, big heart for it, but it has been a real challenge. So I would say if you're interested in international, at least like kind of send me a message and give me a heads up, because I'm in the middle of talking about this. And if we can figure out a way that makes this work that both sides like, maybe some sort of hybrid or, I don't know, year and a half-y thing, and we get some sort of extension. So I'm playing with a bunch of options, trying to see what I can make work. But I don't want to lead you on. Currently, we don't have an option that works. But again, it's a big deal for me. So it's actually on my to-do list this week to have another one. So yes, the H-1B visa is one of the things we're looking at. The problem with the H-1B that we're running across is the lottery factor, which a lot of our franchisees are unwilling to set somebody up with a lottery that they could get dropped halfway through. So but yes, for the international folks, I don't want to get stuck in the weeds here. Let's have more conversation, because I think there are some opportunities. We just have to figure it out. I've got another message here from somebody. What's your experience working with people in the reserves? How have people in the military been helped by the organization or gained experience? Chick-fil-A loves the military and the reserves. And there's there's 3 people in the program right now that are in the reserves while going through the program. It's something that you need to obviously disclose up front, and they'll work your schedule around it and make sure that people are aware. I wouldn't recommend, like one guy tried to start the program and say, yeah, but I'm about to join the reserve, and so I'll be gone for 3 months and then I'll be right back. Like, yeah, no, that's why don't you do that and then come back and talk to us? We're glad to do that. But like starting and then leaving the next week is probably not best. So come back 3 months from now. And then everything worked out great and he's having a good time. But man, they love the military. There's a huge, so a lot of the marketing, not to get too stuck in the weeds, but a lot of the marketing with Chick-fil-A is local events. They don't do as much commercials and billboards and stuff. I mean, they do some, but compared to their competitors, it's a tiny fraction. They mostly do local events, and the most common local event is a military appreciation thing. So a lot of their employees are military. A lot of the folks at the corporate headquarters are military. There's a lot of respect and attention to it. So for them, honestly, it's kind of a bonus. They're literally like, oh, someone with that kind of experience. Okay, we know about your character. We know about your work ethic. We know about your discipline. The leadership experiences of the military are something they take very seriously. So again, it's around scheduling. Just make sure you don't have a massive deployment coming up right before you apply. But otherwise, awesome. They would love to be a part of what you're doing. So that would be a bonus on your resume. Somebody asked if Chick-fil-A is international. No, they're working on it. In fact, in the next, it looks like 16 months will be the first real international expansion. They're talking about the UK for that. Easy culture, easy switch. I mean, it's a great place to kind of dip our toes in the international water there, but currently they're only domestic US.
All right. We'll probably have time here for one last question.
Great.
Hello, Mr. Scott. This is Moses, and I'm doing MFA in directing. And when you said that you're doing MFA, you did MFA in acting, I was like, all right, that's my boy guy.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for all the information, and it's been such a blessing to hear whatever you said. And I believe that Chick-fil-A is a wonderful place to work. Since I'm from MFA directing and also represent the School of Communication because I'm a senator there, my question to you is, I know Chick-fil-A is growing globally, and you guys definitely need media students. So is there any opening for the media students where, like, if it comes to media, there's tons of media opportunities that, of course, Chick-fil-A would need? And maybe not right now, but by maybe in the near future. So what would you say to that? If you guys like really need media students, that if you guys are like, yes, like we have a bunch of students who are like ready to jump and dive into, Chick-fil-A can work with you guys. So what do you have to say about that?
Excellent question. So the media folks I would direct you guys to focus to the corporate office. And if you're interested, contact me and I can give you the connections on who to talk to there. The way they've set it up with the franchise structures, the corporate office provides the vast majority of the media creates it, puts the raw stuff together, kind of creates packages of options. And then the local franchises get to decide, I want to use that one, I want to use that one. But the actual media creation stuff, the stuff that you and your buddies will do, corporate office drives that. They have a huge media department there. It's a really sweet deal. So that would be the place that I'd direct you to look at. And again, if you have questions or whatever, but honestly, if you just want to see even their job openings, just go to chickfil-a.com and you can see the corporate office opportunities. That's, that's where all the lists would be anyway. So, but that's where media stuff's at. And it's a really remarkable corporate office. So recommend checking it out.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, thanks everybody.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. SWOZ Leadership, and more information about that available, of course, in the recording. We can always watch it again or through CareerLink. Up next, we have Aaron with Geico. Aaron, are you online?
Aaron's phone is the 757-226-6877 number.
Okay.
That is muted.
Let me see. Aaron, can we hear you now?
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Oh, great. Yes. Welcome.
Okay. Great.
And you can just tell me when to go through the next slides, and I can control that for you if that's easiest.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Okay.
So just a quick thing. I'm sorry that I don't have a webcam, but you guys get to hear my voice, and hopefully we'll meet in person at some point. But my name is Erin Gaines, and I'm a college recruiter here at Geico in our Virginia Beach office. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the opportunities that we do have at Geico. So this is just a quick overview about Geico. If you guys don't know, we are wholly owned subsidiary of Berkshire Hathaway, and so we get the honor of being led by Warren Buffett, who is a great leader in the business world, and many of you guys have probably learned about him in your business classes or in some basic classes. With Geico, we're actually the second largest private passenger auto insurer in the United States, and we are closing in hopefully on number one. That's our goal. And for the last 12 years, we've actually been the fastest growing auto insurer in the country, which means great opportunities for you guys as new graduates or people who are coming up on graduation, because that means that we're constantly growing. So the cool thing is actually, even since I have updated this PowerPoint, we actually have more than 15 million policyholders and 24 million vehicles, so that's actually a little bit outdated. And then we actually employ over 37,000 associates. So we've also grown in the last year with who we're employing, and our Virginia Beach office is slated to hire hundreds of associates this year. So again, great opportunity is coming. We do have 16 major offices countrywide. So for those of you who are online students and you may not be here in the Virginia area, we do have lots of different offices around the country, pretty much everywhere, New York, San Diego, anything you can think of, we're pretty close. So in addition, we do have strong financial ratings with that backing by Warren Buffett. We are incredibly secure right now, which is a great thing about going into the insurance industry, is regardless of the economy, everyone needs it at some point, and we have a great business model that has allowed us to continue to be profitable and strong. So what that means, like I said, is a lot of growth and a lot of room for new graduates to come in and join us. So you can head over to the next slide. So I wanted to stop on this because I know that Regent does have a great military base of people and people who are just recently out of the military. We actually do quite a few things with the military center there in the Virginia Beach location at Regent. But I just wanted you guys to know, in case you didn't, that Geico was actually founded in 1936 for government employees. That's what Geico stands for, Government Employees Insurance Company. And so we do a lot to make sure not only that we're providing services, policies, and benefits to our military members who are coming to us for insurance, but we also do hire many men and women who come to us from the military. We actually here in our Virginia Beach office have the privilege of having a military center where we handle all military calls, and so we do actually employ a lot of military and retired military veterans. So that is another great thing that we do offer if that fits with anybody out there. And then you guys can head to the next slide for me. All right. So I did want to give you guys a quick snippet of what it's like to work at Geico. If we're able to play that video, you guys can let me know.
After college, I had no idea what I wanted to do.
I imagined myself going into a corporate position, yes. Insurance, no.
I had absolutely no idea that I was going to work for an insurance company.
I did not think I would end up in insurance.
But it was much bigger than I could ever imagine. I was nervous about the corporate environment in general because it was my first big girl job per se. So I had never worked in the corporate environment before, so I had no idea what to expect.
But the great thing is that I feel like I'm part of a family here at Geico, so I really don't feel like I'm working for a big bad corporation or anything like that.
Yeah, there are a lot of stereotypes about working for a big company out there that can give you reservations. Sometimes you feel like you're a little dot in a huge company and that you can be overlooked. Since being at Geico, it hasn't been the case in any way.
Biggest fear as far as corporate position, I was thinking like, oh, everyone is going to wear suits and ties every day. 4 white walls, nobody really talks to anybody.
But working at Geico, that's the difference, is you're able to make a huge impact.
I was worried as well, but coming into Geico, I learned very quickly that it's a very supportive environment, and if you work hard, the opportunities are endless.
And the great thing is that whatever skill set you have, we have a place for you at our Geico family.
You assume that most corporations, there's no moving up. At Geico, they prove to be different. There's always moving up and they want to see you move up.
The Emerging Leaders Program is very unique that it teaches an associate directly out of college from the ground up all about the business operations and business concepts.
I have the pleasant opportunity to go through all the different departments within the company and work from the bottom up.
The Supervisory Leadership Program is a program at Geico that keeps you in the specific background that you're at.
Once you get done with all of your areas of performance, you'll be able to apply for a supervisor and management position in no time.
I feel like it's really unique, especially for a corporate company.
In the end, it's all worth it because Geico rewards people who work hard for them and produce results.
I've gone from the Emerging Leader Program to an assistant vice president, and I think that's a great business practice. And I think it gives you a better perspective as a manager in how to be a good general manager for this organization.
The best thing about working for Geico today is the current business environment. At Geico, you know you're going to have a job 10 years from now or 20 years from now, and there's no question about it if you look at our performance.
The one thing current graduates should know about Geico is that they are willing to give you a chance. They will provide you with the skills, enhance your skills, and give you the knowledge to succeed at your job.
Supervisors, managers, even vice presidents truly care about the associates. And that's something that definitely sticks out to me as a place I'd want to work for.
If you want a job where you want to give it 110% and you want it to be rewarded back, come to work for Geico.
It has a unique culture. Like if you're looking for a place where you have the opportunity, you have the great benefits, I feel like Geico has all of the above, and Geico is the place to be.
All right. So hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of just a look into our company culture. I think that Geico does get, we're a big company and we're very corporate when it comes to the way that we do our business, but the work atmosphere, I wanted you guys to get a chance to see what it's like to really work at Geico, because even though we're such a big company, like I said, we employ 37,000 people. It's a very supportive environment and a big family environment, very similar to what I think you guys get at Regent. Even if you're an online student, you get so much support and so much, from the teams there at Regent and our campus students as well. So I think that it's a good transition. We actually do have quite a few alumni from Regent who have gone through these programs like the Management Development Program and our Emerging Leaders Program. A lot of them I actually recruit to come with me back to Regent for in-person career fairs and things like that. So if you guys want to head over to the next slide. Just a really quick tidbit about what we do offer. As you guys saw on the video, these are a lot of different people who are working in the programs that we're talking about, the leadership programs that I'm going to go into a little bit more depth about. You guys can go to the next slide. But we, oh no, sorry, go back one. Right there. Yep, I just wanted you guys to see a lot of people, you know, automatically assume that we are only car insurance, but Geico actually has been around for over 75 years, and we offer a ton of different products. So we're offering motorcycle, ATV, RV, boat, everything from homeowners, renters, different kinds of policies. So again, so much opportunity for you to come and be a part of what we're doing here. Even in our Virginia Beach alone, we have auto insurance, homeowners, renters, and motorcycle and RV. Every regional office has some different specialty departments. So depending on what your interests are, we can definitely match that for you. And then you guys can go to the next slide for me.
No problem.
Perfect. So this is what I wanted to talk a little bit about, really focusing in. This is what we're offering as a job. So our leadership development programs are designed for college students who have graduated with at least a bachelor's degree. We have two different types of programs. One is called our Emerging Leaders Program. We call that an EL program. It is a 3-year program where you can either go through the business operations track or you can go through an IT track. And this, the ultimate goal is to make you a manager within 3 years. So managers, you know, are the part of our company who manage our supervisors and each department. So all of the departments that I was just mentioning, motorcycle, RV, military, sales service, things like that, they're actually managing the entire department. That can be anywhere from 180 associates, you know, to 300. So that is a great opportunity. It is a 3-year program, and you do have to have at least a 3.5 GPA and prior leadership experience. So we're looking for that campus leadership that you guys may have done in college, or, you know, jobs that you may have worked while you were pursuing your degree, that raw skills that we can then take that and transform it and grow it, and, you know, let that flourish into you becoming a manager with us. The other program that we offer is a management development program. That's one we call MDP. It is a 1 to 2 year program depending on the department, where you can go into either sales, service, claims, or auto damage. And the ultimate goal of that program is to get you to a supervisor within that 1 to 2 year range. So what that looks like is you come in and you get licensed as an insurance agent. You start to work in the department that you've chosen, the specialty, either sales, service, claims, or auto damage. And then as soon as you've learned the business and kind of gotten acclimated to the position, we put you through coaching training, supervisory training, learning how to motivate associates, how to do all of the admin that supervisors are responsible for. You get mentored by directors, managers, and other supervisors to help you grow into the supervisor that you want to be. So like the rest of that slide says, it's industry leading training. We do all of our stuff in-house, so you will get supported and trained up. We just want to take those raw skills that you've learned with your degree and the extracurricular activities that you've done while you're in college, and just use that to transform that into supervising, you know, a team of your own of 8 to 10 people. So you guys can go to the next slide. Yep, that was just a little tidbit of what we're looking for. This is just a few pictures of the fun that we do have within the program. So there's a lot of team building within the other MDPs and ELs that you would be working with, and then also with your own team. So you guys can go to the next slide. And then for all of my very analytical people who are out there, we do also offer analytical and actuarial careers. So if you are a numbers person, if data is your thing, you like to take large sets of data and, you know, condense that down to something that is understandable and find trends. We do hire actuarial assistants. We hire analysts. We've got business and modeling analysts, product strategy analysts. You know, with these programs, they are entry level, again, but we're going to take you through all the training that you need. So to gain exposure to the different departments that we offer. And again, these analysts and actuaries are really the people who are setting our rates, that are looking at trends in the industry, looking at all of the things that we're doing as a company to make sure that we are profitable. And like I said, we're strong and growing, so we want to continue to do that. So if that is more of your skill set versus wanting to lead, but you want to lead through data and through numbers, this is a great career opportunity, and we do offer this in a couple of different offices. Our main office in Chevy Chase, Maryland is actually where we house majority of our analysts, but we do have them all throughout the country. So just for those out there who have had that background, there are some great opportunities for you with Geico. And then we can go to the next slide. Perfect. So for those of you, I know a lot of you guys are recent graduates, our summer internship program is a program for our rising seniors, so juniors, the summer after your junior year. So if you have anybody who's on that is in the midst of their degree or pursuing, or if you guys have friends or anybody that you know of, we do offer an internship program, which is a great opportunity to get hands-on experience. So none of our interns run and get coffee or file any papers, but we really have them working on projects that are issues that we're facing in the insurance industry, and we're looking for new perspectives and creativity and really just a fresh look from what you guys are learning there in school now to come into our company for the summer and really give us some ideas of what we can do. And a lot of their ideas in the past have been implemented, so it's a great thing to have on your resume. And again, just growing that leadership. So you guys can move to the next slide for me. And so these are the offices. I wanted to put this on here because I know we have a lot of students from all over the place. These are our main offices. So you'll find that we're pretty much everywhere. We're pretty concentrated on the East Coast, but we have a lot of opportunities really across the country. And then not on this map is our auto damage. So auto damage is our division that's actually our customer-facing division. So these are the people that are going out into the community, evaluating damaged vehicles, working based out of a repair shop instead of one of our large offices. And so those are everywhere. So we have tons in North Carolina, South Carolina, Maryland, just for those of you guys who are here in Virginia, but all over the country, we have to have people who are out there actually evaluating these damaged vehicles for our customers when we have to come through on that promise to protect them and make sure that they're getting back on their feet. So there's more opportunities than what you see on this map, but I just wanted you guys to be able to see where some of our main offices are if that's close to you. So we can go on to the next one. Alrighty, so any questions that you guys have for me, those are the basics that I wanted to touch on, but I want to be able to answer any questions that you guys have.
Hi, Aaron. This is Jesse. I actually have a few questions, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
So I know in the video, one of the first things I heard him say is that they were scared about working in a big corporation like that, and I know for myself that I would be scared because just of the stigma that insurance companies have. But what is the personality that would be best suited for this job? I mean, is it wide ranged or?
Sure. Yeah, that is the cool part about our company culture is that people, not everybody has corporate experience, especially as a graduate, and that's what these programs are designed for. Is Geico knows that you may not have had corporate experience while you're working your way through college, but we want to use all of the things that you bring. So what you'll find, I would say really the best personality traits that we find in successful individuals are people who are open to feedback, people who are self-starters and really driven because like they mentioned in the video, Geico's willing to give you a chance, and all of our executives, all the way up to our senior executives, even the president of our company, started entry level. There's only a handful of high-level executives that have been hired outside for their expertise. So you'll find that our company culture is everyone has worked their way from entry level. So you, as long as you are willing to learn, if you want to ask questions. When I was an MDP, I came in right after college, and I had a few questions for our assistant vice president who I saw present at a meeting. And I've only been with the company at this point for maybe 6 months. And, she was more than willing to open her door and have a meeting with me just so I could ask her some questions. So you'll find that our company culture is very open. People are willing to help because they have been where you are. And I think that that's one of the great things. So that whole corporate, scary environment really doesn't exist here because everyone is willing to help you if you really want it.
Okay, thank you. I guess the other one that I was going to ask is, you said that there was a 3-year period before you would end up as a manager. I didn't really understand that. Is that like from starting to working your way up? And would that be, after graduation, we college students and money might be an issue. So what is starting pay going up until, that management thing?
Sure. So with the Emerging Leaders Program, it is a fast track to becoming a manager. So it is all of these are fully paid careers while you're being trained. So all of our salaries range just depending on the region that you're in and obviously the cost of living. But our EL program, the Emerging Leaders, that's that 3-year program, they are very competitive salaries is how I would put it in the areas that they're in. So that could range mostly between the $60,000 and $70,000 range while you're training. So the goal of that program is to get you licensed as an agent. You do start at the very beginning learning the insurance business, and it's a fast-paced movement. So learning how to be an insurance agent, learning all about insurance, doing the job in sales, service, and claims for a short period of time to learn what those associates go through, then becoming a supervisor in one of the departments, and then moving up, shadowing a manager, learning how they do their job. So it's 3 years because we're moving you through different phases, but each, pretty much every 6 months you're moving on to a new thing that you would be learning and developing and achieving. So there are promotions within that as well. We try to evaluate all of our associates pretty much on a 6-month basis when it comes to both of these programs. So every 6 months you're being evaluated by your performance, and we are a meritocracy, so you earn everything that you get. Every promotion, as long as you're working hard, we're more than willing to give out more promotions.
Awesome, thank you.
No problem.
All right, Sarah, do we have any questions from people typing?
Not currently, but we can give them a couple moments if you don't mind.
Okay. What would you say mobility is like in Geico from a geographical standpoint? Do you find that when people accept a new position or move up in the company that they relocate or they stay in their same area?
Yeah, the cool thing about Geico is with all of those regional offices, it's very easy to relocate. If you want to, if you're just looking for a change of scenery, it's definitely, as long as the positions are open, which they usually are because we're growing so quickly, you can relocate based on preference, or if you're looking for a specific job and, there may not be the opening right now in the Virginia Beach office, but there is an opening in Fredericksburg or Buffalo, New York, the mobility is really as quick as you want to go. You can go to other offices. We have a lot of people who move around. Majority of our senior level vice presidents and regional vice presidents have moved multiple offices, 5 offices or 6 offices in their career just to get different experiences. And the cool thing is that you can work with different products. So you can work with motorcycle here in Virginia Beach, and you can go work, with different products in our homeowners in New York, or different things to bring you around the country.
And just so I understand correctly, I know a lot of times with insurance, they're owned by private, companies, private individuals, and then they sell the insurance with Geico. How is that handled, the selling of insurance? Is it directly from Geico? How does it work?
Sure. So, we write all of our policies. So all of our vehicle policies, we write them directly and we sell them directly. The only thing that we don't do is our homeowners and renters. We had an experience a number of years ago where actually Geico almost went under probably about 50 years ago due to a catastrophe in Florida when we were just getting into homeowners and the company was a little bit smaller. So as of right now, we do have a homeowners division that writes policies for other companies. So they're an agency. Then we write for travelers and a couple of different policies. But the cool thing is because we write for a multitude of them, we're able to find our customers the best rates possible. And then we also get to stamp that Geico customer service on top. So whenever they call, we still service these policies and we sell them and we handle it here in office, but they're just underwritten by a different company.
All right, it's Jesse again. Going through all that, what is the benefits, the options that they have? Is that something that's through the Geico itself, or is it something that's from the outside?
As far as like benefits for our full-time associates?
Yeah, so let's say I did the 3-year deal and I was full-time and everything. So is it like health insurance and then retirement?
Sure, absolutely. So we offer quite a number of benefits, everything from health insurance, dental. We offer different types of life insurances, pretty much a full package when it comes to all of the benefits. We do offer 401k, profit sharing, and contributions to your 401k. So we do try to make that as good of a package as possible. There's a ton of options for each associate because everyone's very different. On geico.jobs, if you guys are interested in just seeing what you're looking for, we have all of the information about our different benefits packages to tailor something that's for you. But of course, vacation and things like that are all included.
Okay, thank you. Because I was working one job a few years ago before college, and I was single, and I was paying like almost $500 for insurance a month. So that's a question that I was having after that.
Geico does pay for a portion of all of our health insurance and dental, and the plans are very affordable. We have so many associates. We like to make that something that's achievable for all of them, no matter the circumstance.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right, if anyone has any further questions, go ahead and ask them now. All right, Aaron, thank you so much for sharing all that information. It was really interesting, especially to see how, I know the presentation that we used is about a year old. In fact, maybe not even, just to see the growth, that's encouraging. And like you said, Virginia Beach's office is going to have a lot of positions open.
Yes, we definitely have a lot of growth going on here. So if you guys are interested in applying, you can do that through the geico.jobs or through the Regent website we have on there. And then if you guys need anything, all of the MDP applications come to myself and my colleague Brian. So that's the best way to get in touch with us. But I think Career Services also has our contact information. If you guys have any other questions you think of later, you can always send me an email and contact me that way.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much. And of course, through CareerLink, you all are connected as well, so that is another option. So next up, we will have Allison. And Allison, I've got to apologize because I migrated your presentation from Keynote into PowerPoint, and we had to do some color changes to get the fonts to show up. But the information is still there. And if you would like to unmute your microphone and go ahead and take the presentation, I'm going to go ahead and give you remote control. If I can find you in the list. There it is.
Okay, am I being heard?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Sorry about the presentation woes. It was like, I wasn't sure what was working and what wasn't, but that's fine that you had to change colors. We will work with that.
Oh, perfect. And when the video is ready to go up, I have that in the background so I can take care of that.
Okay, great. That sounds good. So am I in control now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you, Brennan, and thank you, Regent, for having me. My name is Allison Grigsby-Sweatman, and I work for an organization called ELIC, or the English Language Institute China. And before you check out, Let me tell you, you don't have to be obsessed with English. That doesn't have to be your degree. You don't have to be on a track to be a teacher to take advantage of these experiences that I'm going to share, nor do you have to want to go to China. We have opportunities all over the world that I'm going to share with you about, and really any degree that you have can be used in our organization. So today I want to talk to you about what your next step is. It kind of seems like in college, whether you are in your undergrad or between your undergrad and your master's, or even if you've started your master's, you're asking yourself, what's the next step? And that's kind of what the focus seems to be in life, and especially in a season of education. I'm hearing some wishing in the background. There's someone who hasn't muted. If you could, that'd be great. Just a little distracting. Okay, I'll go on. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, but before we talk about your next step, I want to show you a little bit about me and about my family. I'm struggling to go to the next slide. Let's see. Am I being heard?
Yes, sorry about that.
Okay. I'm not able to control. My slides aren't forwarding. My slides aren't continuing. There we go. Okay.
They should be now, I think.
Okay, now it's working. Thank you. Okay, this is my family, everyone. I would love to show you these pictures of my family. That's my husband, Andrew, and that's my daughter, Rosie, and that's me and Rosie, and then that in the middle is all three of us. And before we talk about what your next step is, I want to tell you about a time when the next step for us was huge. So in 2014, in July of 2014, my husband and I actually went to China with ELIC. We went as teachers, English teachers in the organization. We taught in a little, not a little city, but in China, it was a little city. This is where we taught, right here, kind of in the belly of China. If China looks like a chicken, we were in the belly of it, and we got there, and we thought we would only be there for a couple of years, and we jumped right in, started teaching, started building relationships and loving it. And we thought, okay, we see other families here raising their kids here. We hadn't had Rosie yet. And we were like, let's do that. We really think that we want to do that. And so we decided, let's start a family in China. And we really believed that we would be lifers, that we would be there for the foreseeable future. And so I got pregnant. I found out in my class, I was teaching a class of 60 students, and this is a lot of information, but I'm hoping that you'll understand where I'm coming from. I found out I was pregnant with a pregnancy test in the middle of a class that I was teaching. I stepped away. We were watching a show for our English training so that they could get some dialects and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, class, I'm going to step away. Took a pregnancy test on Christmas Eve and found out I was pregnant in China. And that was our hope. We wanted to start our family there and continue to live there and build relationships. So I went home back here to the States and found out that our daughter was going to need a series of surgeries. I was about 4 months pregnant when we found out, and God just totally pivoted our next step. We thought our next step was all about surrendering and staying in China, but in fact, He had us coming back here, and that was in April of 2015. So we came back and we were continuing to ask ourselves, what is our next step? And as you are in that season, one of those seasons of asking yourself, what's your next step? I want to present some options for you. So I'm trying to go through the slide. Okay, yes. So What is your next step? Maybe you just finished your first year at Regent and you are completely a different person than you were a year ago. You're rethinking everything. You're asking yourself, what am I going to do? Maybe you're thinking about changing your major. And you are pivoting in some way in your life. And what I want to tell you is that in the kingdom of God, you are called to extraordinary things precisely because you are His. And maybe you're in your second or third year and you're creating this degree plan that you just really are not sure about. And you want to break up the monotony of the degree plan with an amazing adventure, maybe an internship. And you should consider an internship that will be life-changing and world-changing. And I can tell you more about that in a few minutes. And maybe you have finished your undergrad or you're in the middle of your master's and you want to know, what am I supposed to do with this degree that I have? You might be asking yourself and God, what should I do with it? And I would encourage you to consider something that is totally different from those around you, from what they're doing. Maybe you're saying, what do I do with this degree? But all you know is you don't just want to jump into anything without thinking it through and praying it through. And so continue to ask God that, and I'm going to show you an extraordinary opportunity for that to consider. And I want to tell you that it's okay, no matter where you are on that spectrum of considering the next step. It is okay, and it's not an easy place to be, but I'm hoping to show you some incredible opportunities to consider in it. So this is my organization. Again, the colors are off, and that's my fault. Can we go back? Okay, ELIC is the name of our organization. We are the English Language Institute China. We were started in 1981. We sent a group of 8 teachers to China to teach in a university there. Over 11,000 teachers have gone with us since then. Over 1 million students have been taught. And I want to tell you about what we're doing all over the world. My contact information is in the bottom left corner of every slide, if at any time you would like to contact me. So our vision, if you can read it, let's see. So ELIC places passionate people in influential roles all over the world, across Asia, the Middle East, and North Africa. I'm going to show you a map of where we serve. So we are in China, Mongolia, Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, Myanmar, and the DPRK, or North Korea. In the Middle East, North Africa region, or MENA, as we call it, we are in Turkey, Jordan, Lebanon, Oman, Iraq, Tunisia, and Morocco. And so we are serving in these really hard to access countries because of the relationships we've made and the excellency with which we teach. So we have teachers all over this map who are serving and teaching with excellency. And really, we have made an impact because we send excellent teachers. Not all of whom, again, started out wanting to be an English teacher, but fell in love with the culture and fell in love with the environment that they were living and working in. And so here are our programs I'd like to show you. The first one is called Engage. And Engage is a 4 to 6 week summer program that usually happens for students who are looking for something to do with their summer while they're in college. And there are 5 tracks that we offer with Engage. The first one is a camp program in Hong Kong. With that, you go with a team, you serve school-age children. Sometimes it's an after-school program, and sometimes it's like a summer camp. And so there's some teaching and culture exchange that happens there, and building relationships with parents and so forth. And then the second is a culture-focused trip that happens all over where we send. And that trip, again, these are all 4 to 6 week summer programs. The culture-focused trip is really a cultural exchange experience. It's less focused on teaching opportunities and more focused on giving you the chance to just engage with whatever culture you're able to travel to there. And then our third track in Engage is teacher training. So we have several partnerships all over China where there are Chinese teachers needing to be trained to teach in English. they speak English, but maybe there's specific vocabulary that they need some help with. And we come in for 4 to 6 weeks and train them and help them be better in their field. So that is our teacher training track with Engage. Our 4th track is, our 4th track is actually refugee work in the Middle East, North Africa region, specifically in Lebanon. We are meeting many needs. A 4th of the population of Lebanon right now are Syrian refugees. And we have actually been welcomed into the country because we're meeting some specific needs of some of those students or some of those families. And we're actually, most of our work there is teaching young children who have never set foot into a classroom because of the war-torn state of their country. And so they come over the border and they're able to start pursuing an education at a very young age because of the schools that we're able to serve there. So that's part of the refugee work that we do with Engage. And then the 5th track is the Hand in Hand program. The Hand in Hand program is a really amazing opportunity. Like I said, in China is where we started. And so we have, with the Hand in Hand program, we have a group coming from the United States, that could be you, going for this 4 to 6 week experience, and a group in China. And these are students who have been taught by ELIC teachers. And they're meeting in the Middle East, and they're both teaching in these refugee camps. And so that is just a specific track in Engage that is with our refugee work. So Engage, again, 4 to 6 week summer program. The next opportunity that I want to tell you about is Project 56 or Project 56. Project 56 is 5 countries in 6 months. With this project, oh, I'm so sorry that my slides aren't, So Project 56 is 5 countries in 6 months. It is a possible internship opportunity. So if there's an internship that you're looking for that has anything to do with global studies or travel or anything international, we actually have a list on our website of many degrees that could use this as an internship. If you're interested in making this an internship or using it as an internship, we can work with your degree plan, work with your professors, whoever you are looking to show the program to maybe have it qualify for your internship. We will communicate with them for that. The next route begins January 2018. So this would be your spring semester. It would be how you were spending your spring semester. You meet in Thailand, and this upcoming track takes you to China, Mongolia, Lebanon, and Turkey. And those tracks change every year. But this next one, that's where we will be going. And then next we have UTP, which stands for University Teaching Program. And that is our long-term program. It's 2+ years, but we have 1-year options for those who are interested in committing for 1 year. There's thorough preparation prior to leaving. We have candidate care, which is something that is really unique to our organization. Our candidate care is top-notch. Every aspect of preparing to go overseas and live cross-culturally, every aspect of that, you're being walked through and counseled through and trained in addition to just that very practical care that you're getting, you're receiving graduate level training in TESOL and intercultural studies through Wheaton. And in that training, at the end of that training, you receive a certificate through Wheaton to teach English as a second language. And so you're completely legitimized, completely trained to be an excellent teacher, which is a huge value of ours. We're actually meeting needs in these countries. We want to be excellent teachers. We want to send excellent teachers so that our students are being served the way that we believe it's important for them to be served and the way that they want to be served in order to be more relevant and more successful on the world stage. And so we train you in that graduate level certificate, and then some people choose to pursue an MA in TESOL and intercultural studies through Wheaton. And with our program, our UTP program, you can actually pursue that master's from the field, which is an incredible opportunity to be able to stay there and continue working through your MA if that is a program that you're interested in, if you want to continue your education from there. And so I would love to show a video at this time, if that's okay, about what we're doing in the MENA region. So it's a couple of minutes long.
If you look in the distance, you can see the mountains that lead to Syria. And when I look at those mountains, I'm reminded that right beyond that ridge, there is a lot of pain, heartache, and hurt.
One of the students now whom you are teaching these English classes, they took his daughter for a week or 10 days. He had to sell everything in Iraq to pay them the money to bring his daughter back, and they left and they came here. So hundreds of families, they come. They ask us, please, we want our children to be in your schools. We know that you are very serious and you are teaching them very good English, so everyone is happy in that.
They want to learn English, so it's fun to teach students that want to learn. So it's been great. You will make a whole new life in 2 days. I feel like I've been here for a year, and I don't mind that feeling. I love that feeling. So.
Are you ready to stay?
I'm ready to stay. I'm not getting on the plane back home, Mom and Dad. I'm staying.
What's neat about a school is seeing students' lives being rebuilt. We've seen students who were ashamed to sing again begin to smile, laugh, sing, and kind of become whole again.
Within one camp, you could find over several hundred that have been abused by Daesh, ISIS, and they're in one camp. So imagine there's roughly 20 camps where we work, or 25 camps that are placed where we work, and just imagine the sheer numbers that are there.
And as pioneers, you do things that others don't do. When no one was going to China, and when it was considered dark and dangerous and difficult, our organization was planted there. 10,000 people like you have gone there. 8 total. That was our beginning 2 years ago here. And now it's this group, and the group that's already been teaching for a month in Oman, and the group that's coming to teach in Jordan, about 100 people 2 years later teaching in this part of the world. Who knows what next year and the year after is going to be?
Great, thank you. And so the next slide. Awesome. So that video just showed a little bit of what's going on in a newer region that we're in, the Middle East, North Africa. That's what's been happening for maybe the last 2 or 3 years. Before that, we were only in Asian countries. So it's really exciting things that are happening, lots of need that's being met, and it can only be matched. That need can only be matched by the adventure that awaits you. So I would encourage you to ask yourself, where would you be next year? I would love for you to contact me for more information about these opportunities. Again, my information is there on the slide, but I'll say it to you so that you don't miss it. It's allison.sweatman@elic.org, and there's also my phone number. And then I would also love it for you to follow us on social media. We are ELIC is our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And then also please text ELIC to 31996, and it'll prompt you to take a quiz to see, based on what we know about the countries where we are, to see where you would maybe best fit where we serve overseas. Thank you for having me, and I'd love to answer any questions.
Can you go back a slide so I can get that number?
Oh, sure. Let me, okay. Yeah, my number is 605-2090. It's 501-605-2090.
Awesome. I see it. They put it in the chat too. And so for that text, it's just ELIC and then the other portion?
Yes, text ELIC to 61996, I believe it was, or 31996, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm also able to personally answer any questions that people have about specific regions or specific countries, but it is just so various. Even the needs that we meet in each country and each region are so various, as you can imagine. I mean, just because that's how the world is. But I would be happy to do that one-on-one with anyone who's interested in a specific country, or even if you're like, how could I use my major? I can tell you about what's going on there. I worked actually in my city. I worked with a lot of business majors because we had a big business summit that a lot of our students in our city would come to and hear Western business leaders talk about just business ethics and how to scale and just different things like that. And so really anything that you have can be used in one of these places.
Okay, Allison, we do have a question that was submitted by Katie.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain a little more about the 2-year college teaching program, the pay, the length of training before being sent over?
Sure. So the 2-year college teaching program requires that you have an undergraduate degree. I don't think that was on the slide, but that's true. It's our long-term option. And so the pay is different with each school. You're paid an international rate with whatever school you serve at overseas, or whatever program you serve at. It depends on the university or the school where you are. There's also a bit of fundraising that happens before you're sent, and that's part of the candidate care aspect that I was talking about, where you're walked through. It depends. I committed a year before I went, so I spent a year preparing in various ways to go. But you have a counselor to counsel you through the fundraising, to decide really what do I need from the field to compile a profile of expenses and needs, and then also to learn how much you will be paid from the university. And all of that is taken into account on a case-by-case basis, but you do have one key point person who keeps your file, keeps all of that together for you, and they will be located in our headquarters in Fort Collins, Colorado. And so you can be in contact with them as often as you need to as you prepare. In terms of training, we do a 3-week training before you leave, and that happens in July. So we will have everyone who is going to any country where we send, anyone who's going long-term comes to Fort Collins, Colorado in July, and that is where the actual in-class training for that TESOL certificate happens, and that's where you get a lot of culture training, a lot of follow-up with the professors of those classes. And then from the field, your first semester, you have a teaching mentor who is following and sitting in on your classes, helping you improve as a teacher. And then also from the field, you're never alone. You serve on a team. That's a huge value of our organization. You are literally never alone. And almost always there is someone who's been there for 5 or more years who is serving alongside you in your city and on your team. And so that's kind of what those things look like.
It sounds like there's a lot of flexibility in what you get to choose to do. How do you decide between those 4 options that you had mentioned way back? Let me see if I can pull that slide up. Is it the Engage program?
Mm-hmm,
yeah, so we have the camp, the cultural focus trip, the teacher training, and the refugee work and hand-in-hand program.
Yeah.
How do I decide between those things?
How do you decide? That's a very good question. So the Engage program is actually offered not only to college students, but sometimes people of all ages decide. It's mostly college students, but sometimes people of other ages who just want to go on a short-term trip, or maybe a church wants to send a short-term group to do one of these things. It depends on the need in the countries where we're sending Engage groups. It also depends on the hearts of those who are going. If there's someone who says, I just really want to be there with the refugees, I want to be teaching refugees, that's where I want to be, then we obviously we can't really argue with that. We say, here's the next opportunity to do our refugee work. If someone says that hand-in-hand program, I can't get that off my mind, I want to do that. I want to do this third culture thing where we come from Asia and we come from the States and we meet in the middle and we do this thing, then we're going to get you in that hand-in-hand program. And then also timing, like we're constantly tweaking when we send groups on each of these tracks for Engage. And so if you say, I can only go in the month of June, in the summer of 2018, then we'll say, here are the options there, and so that's, again, part of our candidate care program. If someone follows up with you and says, okay, you want to go with Engage, let me tell you what we have planned so far. And we can be just kind of walking with you and praying with you through that decision. So, good question.
Oh, awesome. So you do get to interact and kind of guide people through the process, pray with them, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So Brennan,
yes,
we have a few hands raised. Jesse and Kayla, I notice.
Oh, perfect.
If you wouldn't mind unmuting them so they can ask their question. Thank you.
We'll start here with, it looks like we have Katie raised her hand. Katie, do you have a question?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just asked a question in the chat about the 2-year college program. So you answered my question. Thank you. That was very helpful.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Katie.
All right, and let's see. Looks like Jesse had a question. Let me unmute Jesse and lower his hand. That looks like, there we go.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so I apologize if you've already answered this question, but so I have prior service in the military, and this seems like something that after I got out, that's kind of what I wanted to do. So I came to Regent, started taking biblical and theological studies, and so I'll be starting my junior year, and I have some things that would keep me from doing full-time work. But what would you advise me to really prepare for a field like this?
Wow. First of all, thank you for your service. I want to make sure I say that. Thank you so much.
No problem.
For your question as well. So what would I advise in preparation? So I would be constantly seeking as much information as possible about the regions that you feel drawn to. Never minimize the possibility that it could be God showing you what's up in this region of the world or in that region of the world. I think whenever I was kind of wrestling with, am I supposed to go? What am I, what's going on here? I would be like, but who knows if this thing that I just learned about China or this thing that I just learned about Jordan or Morocco, who knows if that has anything to do with my calling or where I'm supposed to end up. And I wish, looking back, that I would not have done that. I wish that I would have just dived straight into as much information as possible about these countries and about specifically what's happening to sending organizations like ours to those who serve over there, which is something is teaching with our organization in those countries, people who have been living there for, some of them in some of the countries for 10 years. I can connect you with people to tell you exactly what it's like. And I really wish I would have done that. I really wish I wouldn't have questioned whether or not this is something I'm supposed to do, or whether or not I'm good enough to do it. I wish I would have just soaked up as much of that information as possible and taken every resource possible. So yeah, good question.
Awesome. I mean, is the field that I am, I'm hearing like double myself. The degree that I'm taking, is that a good degree to stay with?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there are some countries where we might have some limits on because of what your degree says. But we work with you through every step of that process, and the way the rest of the world works, which I'm sure you know, there are exceptions to almost every rule in a lot of these countries. And so we just kind of pray and walk through that process and take steps where doors open. There are some people who come to us and say, I want to do this thing, but I don't know where I can do it. And we can even start there. We can start as generally as that. And some people come and say, it's this part of the world. I want to go there. What can I'll do anything. Just put me there. And we can do that too. So it can look like anything and really any degree. And I know people who for sure are not at all using their degree and serving with us. But I also know people who started their degree knowing that this was their ultimate goal, to serve and teach overseas. So both of those extremes exist in our organization, and we want to walk people through whatever the process looks like. So good questions.
You said fundraise. I'm sorry to have all, so many questions.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The fundraising that you do before going is, how does that help with travel and all that other stuff? I mean, is that covered through the job itself, or is that kind of on you?
So some of it, some of it is covered through the job itself. Again, it depends on where you are, what our contract looks like with that particular school. And these are all things that every candidate considers about where to go, what capacity in which to serve. Like we have teachers serving in Morocco who only teach one night class a week, whereas that was not my experience in China. I was teaching 16 hours a week, and I was teaching over 200 students every week. And so it just looks different with everyone in terms of workload, and also it looks different in terms of pay, which also affects the amount of money that you have to raise to be overseas and be taken care of insurance-wise and travel-wise, and all of that. And yeah, I can tell you more of those specifics. Honestly, I would love to, about our journey. So you said you were married earlier?
No, I'm single.
You're single. Okay. I thought you said that you had a family. Maybe that was someone else. But we didn't go with a family. It was just me and my husband. But we know families of 5 who serve overseas, and their process looks very different from a single individual or from ours going as a couple with no children. And so if you would like me to connect someone with you who has the same life experience and demographic who's serving overseas, they can tell you exactly what the fundraising process was like for them, and even give you some ballpark numbers too.
Awesome. Yes. That'd be great.
That's very helpful. We had a hand raised earlier. Kayla. Kayla, do you still have a question you'd like to share and ask? Yes, I believe she's going to be unmuting.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Kayla. So I'm getting a master's in government, specifically international relations, and I've been doing some studying on Asian politics. So are all these positions for teaching, or would there be a place for me with that kind of background?
Yes. So most of these positions are for teaching, specifically in Asia. Most of them are for teaching, but we have people with a background of intercultural studies, specifically government. We have people serving in our office. We have an office that's in a headquarters in Beijing that kind of coordinates a lot of our just Asian operations. And so there very well might be an opening there. Specifically what I'm talking about today was almost all of them are teaching positions. But of course that is used on the field for teaching as well. If you're interested in some of the more cultural experiences, some of the cultural immersion experiences, and teaching is something that is more, I guess, secondary to the experience for you, that's definitely something that we could talk about. And if you're interested in a specific, you said it was specifically Asian government?
That's what I've been studying specifically, but I have international relations background.
Okay, great. Then we can definitely talk about a place for you and exactly what that could look like, being able to use that in not only a teaching capacity, but in other ways that our organization might have need. So.
Okay, I have a couple more questions for you. So would there be training that would happen to make the transition to a more teaching position, perhaps through the summer, the refugee program that you said that you have? Is there a language component that's necessary?
A what component?
A language component?
Language component. Okay. For our long-term teachers, we actually, after a year of service overseas, we have a language school that is set up. This is particularly for China because that's our largest country. There's a language school that our organization actually has in a city in China where everyone goes to, these are people who are committing to even longer than 2 years, so much, much longer. They have decided, you know, they're going to be there for the foreseeable future and they really want to learn language, and so they go to our language school. And then in the other countries, some of them, it's very important that you learn language prior to serving for 1 to 2 or more years. And so some of them you jump right in, and like our teachers serving in Morocco, they're doing language training from the very beginning. They start while they're here in the year prior to going, and then once they're there, they might teach 1 or 2 classes a week, but they are there as students also to learn the language. I'm trying to think of what one of your other questions was. And that's the case in a lot of our other countries as well. A lot of our smaller countries in Asia, and then in the MENA region, language is very important. The refugee, you specifically said refugee work. The refugee work is mostly short-term right now. It's not all short-term, but it's mostly short-term. And so the preparation happens prior to the field, but it also happens off-site in the region. You are taught kind of the lesson plans for the next, for the time that you're going to be there. And you're taught a lot of culture shock training to kind of prepare you for landing in a different culture. And then there's also a debriefing and a re-entry preparation as well, so that you're not just thrown back into the States and flailing to re-enter, that was harder for us. Honestly, re-entering back into our own culture was a lot harder than going to China. It's crazy how that's true. But anyway, I hope that answers your questions.
Yeah, one more question about the refugees.
Yeah.
So I've heard that this was a kind of a Christian organization. So is there a security threat for the places like North Korea? So that's amazing that you're even in North Korea, and also for the refugee program specifically. What would that, or what would a typical day kind of look like?
Yeah, very good question. So Dixie Klein is also a student who sent me a private message that was a similar question. So Dixie, if you're listening, I hope that I also answer your question. So these are obviously very sensitive regions of the world where we have people that's true. Everyone knows that no matter who you are. But because, like I said before, we teach with excellence, we train with excellence. Our teachers are not educators for the sake of being in the countries, but we are educators for the sake of serving the people we are teaching, in meeting needs, meeting people exactly where they are and whatever their needs are. And like I've said, it looks different in every country. From a security standpoint, it looks different in every country. But also, like I said before, everyone is always operating on teams. So there's a level of safety with that fact. That's one of our values. And then also, we have different security measures for every region. And obviously it looks very different in Laos than it does in the DPRK, than it does in Morocco. But those things are considered, and I can tell you more specifics about each country if you're interested. I can tell you the kinds of things that we were given. I, for instance, still get U.S. Embassy emails for Americans living in China, even though I don't live there anymore. And so things like that. We are always part of a team. We're never alone. And so lots of security is built in just with that model. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Looks like we have a question from Jared, and he says he's interested in working in the Middle East. Yeah. He's in the Navy Reserves and has been deployed to Afghanistan and soon to Djibouti. How will prior experience help me, especially with two-year teaching job that I'm interested in?
Yeah, prior experience will be huge. So these regions are places where people need to kind of turn off the newscaster in their brain when they think about these regions, and they need to realize that what's happening in these places is not all to be feared, but to be embraced. And the people there are exactly that. They are people in need. And this is honestly, I'm not intending to be political at all. I hope no one's reading it that way. But there is a sense of fear that keeps people from following a calling that we have to meet these needs in these countries. And I honestly think that your prior experience there of actually maybe looking at the faces of these people in need would be huge to kind of shed that spirit of fear that most people in our country have when they consider going to these regions. So I think that would be invaluable.
All right. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Oh, from Kayla, where can I apply for the refugee program?
Yeah, so you can make sure I would love for anyone with any more questions to email me and even text me. That was my personal phone number on the slide. But definitely text ELIC to 31996. And not only will you be prompted to go to our quiz on our website, at that website, there's also different tracks that you can find for any of the programs that I explained. And then also by texting, one of our candidate care counselors will be able to contact you in the future to answer any of your questions as well. But if you would like to talk to me specifically, I would love to do that. And I would love to share any stories from Asia with anyone who wants to listen as well. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Allison, there's one more question here from Edward. Does ELIC recruit media students, or are there career opportunities for media students?
Absolutely. I'm sure, Edward, you noticed how awesome that video was. And so media students made that video happen. We absolutely need people to help us spread this awesome stuff that's happening all over the world and do it in really creative ways. And so, yes, our head of our media department served overseas and was the most effective communicator that I've ever seen from overseas. While he was there, just sharing stories in different platforms and everything. And now he works in our headquarters in Fort Collins, and he travels all over the world telling other people's stories. And so those are the opportunities. But if you were just put somewhere in the world with us, creating content for us, then we would use it. And absolutely, media is my background too. And so I am here to say absolutely with a resounding yes, we love media students.
And speaking of media, you had a great presentation today, and I'm so sorry that I destroyed it when I brought it over into PowerPoint.
It's okay. But as long as people heard me and were able to read it, it's fine. We roll with it.
Well, thank you so much, Allison, for taking the time to answer questions. And we do have an additional employer coming on at noon, CBN, to talk about opportunities in their prayer center. And so that will be happening at noon. But before then, if anyone has any additional questions for any of the employers who presented, I think Scott is back online to take additional questions. We can take those now. All right.
I did have a...
Oh, go ahead.
Excuse me, Brendan. I'm sorry. I did have a question earlier from... please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing your name, and feel free to raise your hand and we'll unmute you so you can correct us. But it's Flangu, and his question was regarding the fact that he lives in Severn, Maryland, and he is wondering if he would be able to apply for positions with the Trainee Leadership Consultant Coach Program in Severn, and how would he go about doing that?
Yeah, so I actually had noticed that, and I sent him a private message. But yeah, the short answer is, yeah, we have a bunch of locations near there. In fact, just if I understand where that is, that's just between Baltimore and DC, and we've got locations just north and south of him that he could be interested in. So gave him a link where he could start the application process and check that out.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
And of course, through CareerLink, anyone who participated today, make sure you have an account there. We can help you with that if that is not the case. But I believe all students should have one. But if you need help setting it up, we're of course here to help you. But any of these opportunities you should be able to find through CareerLink as well. Oh, Diane.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you as well.
I guess it's 2 minutes till noon, but close.
A little early.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking so forward to this.
Oh, great. I can click through your slides if you just tell me what to do, since we've been having issues with people controlling remotely.
All right. Well, we can just kind of start here on the first page and say welcome to everyone. And I've been listening, and it's been very exciting with all of the employers that are online, as well as the students, and just hoping that everyone will be able to fulfill their destiny of working in some avenue, in some place that's going to be beneficial to you. But I am the recruiting and training manager here at the Prayer Center at CBN, and I'm just looking so forward to getting more of our wonderful college students and everyone into our Prayer Center and help us on the phones to minister to callers. We want to go ahead and click through the next slide. All right, thank you. So CBN, which in the Prayer Center is part of the 700 Club and Regent University, we're all on the same campus here in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And as you see here, our mission of CBN and its affiliate organizations is to just prepare the United States of America and the nations of the world for the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ, to establish his kingdom here on the earth. And all different departments in CBN have a part to play in that. And so our Prayer Center has a part to play, because, and to me, a very vital part, because most people are watching the show or they've heard about the 700 Club with Pat Robertson, and Pat gives a like a charge or a call for people to call into our Prayer Center to receive prayer, to receive literature, to donate, to become a partner with us. And so we call them our front line. These are the front line warriors that are getting these phone calls and helping so many people build up their faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. And we win, so many people come to the Lord Jesus Christ. In 1 week, we take about 60,000 calls. We do have 3 sites. We are here located in Virginia Beach. Then we also have a site in Nashville, and we have another site in Manila. And my goal is to really just ramp up our recruiting efforts to really get people in that are qualified, that love the Lord, that have a heart for ministry and walk in excellence. And I mean, I know Regent University is definitely the place to start with that. You can go with the next slide. So the Prayer Center office environment, what is it like to work in the Prayer Center? Well, you're going to meet a lot of people. We have about 200 agents, or we call them prayer warriors, agents, partner care specialists. But we have about 200 in Virginia Beach alone. And we have another maybe 100 or so in Nashville. And then Manila is our newest site. So we're just building it up, and we're very, very excited. I wish I had a picture in here of them. But we have about 12. We're trying to ramp them up to about 21. But CBN offers a professional and rewarding work environment. We do have competitive salaries. We do have the part-time. We have part-time and full-time positions with benefits. We have a lot of positions available. One of the ones that I'm really working on trying to really fill is our working in the Prayer Center on the phone, and it's called a Partner Services Representative. But we also have other administrative job roles. We also have technical jobs in our IT department. It's a pretty large organization here, but again, my focus is definitely on the Prayer Center. It says here that if you desire to make a difference in people's lives and share the vision and the purpose and just really have the skills there, that's what we're looking for. We want people who say, I didn't know we could pray, get paid to pray. And here we do. That's what I thought when I came here to CBN, or before I came here. I didn't know there was a place where you could go, pray, help people get closer to the Lord. It's so rewarding. You're sowing into their lives, and it's just a really great opportunity. And there's also great opportunities for advancement and growth. in the Prayer Center as well. If we can go to the next slide. Thank you. Thank you so much. So the Partner Services Representative, it starts off as a part-time position. And before I go and read any more of that, I do want to mention that when you go on our website, you'll see that we also have full-time positions as well in the Prayer Center. Right, this particular one talks about the part-time position, and it is at least 20 hours a week, and you can work actually up to 28 hours a week. There are areas where you can get more hours. We do have some other areas of the Prayer Center, like what we call the partner care, which works with our partners' donations, their records. And then we have another area called the social media reps, and that's an exciting area to work in. You're usually on our 700 Club CBN Facebook pages, you're on our Twitter account, and some of our other social media outlets. They monitor that particular site and connect with and correspond with those our followers that we have there. So that's a really exciting area. And also with our partner services rep position, once you're in the position for over your 90 days, then you have an opportunity to even request to go and begin to work remotely. And then we will look at whether or not, what your stats are, your performance, and we take some other things into consideration to be able to move you into a remote. The remote position, it would be local. So if you live in Virginia Beach, we provide the equipment to be able to help you to have what you need when you get home to work. We give you the training. And also, the only requirement would be that you have the high-speed internet. That would be the requirement. So if you're interested in praying for people, but you really don't want to be in the building necessarily, in the physical building, you feel like you need a little bit more flexibility, the remote is another option as well. Here it says that this position will communicate with established and prospective CBN partners to encourage financial support, to inform and minister through prayer. And we use the Bible, of course. We have multiple shifts. We are 24 hours. We're open 24 hours a day. So the shifts, we have our first, second, and third shift. Manila helps us out a lot in the third shift because of the time zone. It's opposite of ours. But we do have a third shift staff here in Virginia Beach as well as in Nashville. So it works out really well, especially if you're trying to supplement your income, or you're looking to just kind of get your foot in the door, get some real understanding, maybe even to build up your own spiritual growth and development. Those are great opportunities here. We have great training here as well for all the other positions that I've mentioned. Can we move to our next slide, please? All right, thank you. All right, great. All right, so our qualifications. We look for people with excellent listening skills. Because callers are calling in, and a lot of times they are dealing with so much, as most people are in their lives, and so we want someone who has that ability to just listen and respond in a very loving way, even if the situation you may have never dealt with what they're dealing with, but we can definitely empathize with what they're dealing with. And so we're looking for people with that heart, the heart of ministry, the heart of love, to be able to do that, to have a basic knowledge of the Bible is very important. You do not have to know all the scriptures and things like that. We do provide what we call prayer starters, and scripture helps. So it definitely can help build your scripture knowledge, though, as well. But we're not looking for someone who is a scholar or a Bible scholar or pastoring for years. We love those people too. We welcome them to come, but this is definitely for someone also who's just kind of starting out and really want to know more about the Bible and want to learn about the Bible and be able to minister on the phone as well. And so, we offer that. The ability to communicate professionally and with good oral and written communication skills, because we will be at times sending what we call referrals. If a caller calls in and they're having a problem, possibly with their account. We would have that information, would have to go to a different department, sometimes not within our department, but outside of it, to our CBN departments. So we want to make sure that we're communicating well and clear and concise when we give that information. Good computer skills, including that Windows-based operating system, being able to use the browser, navigate very well. We're looking for someone that can do that because you are working from the computer. That's primarily how you're going to do your interactions with our partners and our callers. You have to be comfortable working at a workstation for your entire shift, because obviously you're sitting and the calls are going to be coming in, and you're going to be helping someone with something. I mean, it's really the servant's heart that's going to be what we're really going to be looking for. Strong reading and comprehension skills. That's really important as well. Can we go to our next slide? Thank you. The ability to work in a structured but fast-paced environment. We have coaches. Every teams are made up of about 15 to 17 agents to a team. That team has a coach who will help them with their skills and help them to continue to grow and develop in those areas, and just to be there as a mentor with them as well. And then we also have our assistant coaches that are available too. So as you see in the picture there, the man kind of hovering over and showing that agent something. That's kind of what happens. That's our environment here as well. To be flexible with your hours, and we do occasionally have our agents work on the weekends because, again, we're 24 hours a day. And during the holidays, it won't be every holiday, but we do have a schedule that will be set up there. A lot of times our agents look forward to that, working on the holidays, and there is, of course, extra pay for working on the holidays. And it's just a great opportunity, again, to minister to people on the phones. Can we do our next slide? All right, great. All right, and here, if you are interested in the Partner Services Representative position, you would go online to our cbn.com and go under job openings, and you'll find that job as well as other jobs that we have available in the Prayer Center. Like I said earlier, I wanted to kind of reiterate that we do have other jobs like working in our partner care office or area, which is our partner care specialist. They handle our partners and their records, their accounts primarily. They also do some neat things like calling and just appreciating our partners. They call if we have partners that have been ill for a period of time. We give them a call and we just love on them and pray for them and let them know that we are always there for them if they need to talk. And then we also have a department called our Partner Development. That's pretty much where we do our fundraising, where we get our donors are going to be giving finances and things like that. We're reaching out to people who say, hey, I want to be a part of CBN and the 700 Club and the things that they're doing with the Operation Blessing and helping out in all over the world with disasters. It's just a great opportunity there for you all to be able to get people to come and connect with us, join with us in the great work that we are doing here at CBN. So that's pretty much where we are, and it's what we're looking for in the ministry here with the prayer ministry. So if you have any questions, or if I can help in any way, feel free. I'm here to answer any questions you have. And thanks again for taking the time to listen in and hear what we have to offer here at CBN.
See, it looks like Jesse has his hand raised. Jesse, did you have a question?
I did. I know that CBN works a lot with Regent University.
Yeah.
Is this something that they work with student schedules as well? Because I know it's 24 hours.
Yes, that's a good question. Thank you for asking that question. We actually have a special schedule that we do have set for our Regent students. We do understand the heavy workload that most of the students have, but they do still want to get that supplemental income. So we will. You tell us what your schedule looks like. A lot of times, the student will come in and they'll work one schedule, and then, you know, that next semester it may be a little bit heavier, and so we'll make those adjustments as well.
Is there a minimum number of hours or to keep the job?
Yeah, for our students, we say 15 hours, but we are normally looking for 20 and, you know, up to 20 to 28 hours a week.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And this looks like it could be a good opportunity for anyone, you know, from ministry to counseling.
Absolutely. Yeah, and especially with the ministry, and you know, and if you have a background where you're selling, or you do like to do fundraising, things like that, it's great. For those who love social media, this is another great place, you know, because like I said, we have a whole social media team they're on Facebook and they're on the other social media outlets that we have, monitoring and communicating and sharing all the time.
Yeah, when I was talking to you the other day, you said that sort of this position is a good foot in the door to CBN to kind of get into the organization and get to know it better.
Yeah, and not just the Prayer Center, correct, but also other areas of CBN. But even, like I said, here in the Prayer Center, we have positions for coaches, assistant coaches. We have a lot of our administrative areas that are available, you know, to work in, especially our technical areas. We have a tech ops desk who for those techies. Great place there for you. Analyst positions are available as well. Visiting us at the CBN.com and just kind of seeing what we have available across sites, Nashville, Virginia Beach as well, would be very beneficial for you.
Hello, Ms. Diane.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. Good. Thank you so much for all the information. Such a blessing to hear from a prayer warrior. I can always.
All right, God bless you.
Yeah, my question to you is, ma'am, is there any voluntary positions available so that we can step in and offer our time with the CBN Prayer Department?
You know, years ago, we used to do the volunteer, but we don't do volunteer work anymore. But we do have something called on-call. It's still paid. It's a paid position. But normally what happens is a person will come in with maybe doing the 15 if they're a student, but usually 20 hours a week. But if they find that, you know, that might be a little bit too much for my schedule right now, then we have what we call on-call. And if a person is, you know, their performance as well, then they will help us out during telethons. Because we, you know, CBN does the telethons, I believe it's 3 times a year. And so we call people. They go on a list, and we give them a call and just invite them to come and be with us just during that time period. Or if we get really busy with the project, you know, if we have different projects that come up that we know we're going to get a large, you know, like an influx of calls, we will call on our own calls to help us at that time.
Okay. All right, ma'am. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Diane, what's it like to be on the phone with someone during one of these prayer calls? What sort of, you know, issues come up? What kind of people do you get, and how do you, you know, talk to them?
Right. Good question. Well, first of all, every person that comes into the Prayer Center to work on the phone, they go through some training. So there is a 2-week training. The first week is pretty much working with the trainer really closely, learning, you know, our policies and different things like that, and just how to minister on the phones. And the second week, you actually are going to be with what we call an assistant coach, and you get to take those calls, and you get to hear the different callers that are coming in, and some of them are heavy ministry calls, where people are dealing with, you know, cancer and other things like that. But it's all about the love of Jesus Christ, and you just minister to them from your heart, and we provide, you know, scriptures and things like that, so that you'll be well equipped. By the time you're taking calls, you'll feel confident that you can minister to anyone who calls in with any situation. Some people just call in to say, hey, I just absolutely love CBN, or, you know, I love the Lord and I just want you to pray with me. We get those calls. We get people who call every day because they just want someone to agree with them in prayer as they start their morning. So we get a variety of calls.
Wow, that's really cool. It must be a rewarding experience.
It really is. It really is. I think every excuse me, every PSR will say that they really feel so rewarded when they leave every day because they touch so many lives. And I do want to mention this before we leave, is that we also provide what we call a chapel. We actually do 7 times across sites, but that is to enrich and to help the counselors to kind of be refreshed after taking so many calls. They go in, we have a special room, we go in there, we sing, they praise the Lord. We have a special word that comes forth from our leadership to just bring that encouragement and fill them back up because they're pouring out, so much during the day.
Wow, it sounds like a very caring environment.
It is, it really is.
All right, so, all right, do we have any questions from any of our employers still on, or anyone with any additional questions for the entire career fair?
Yes, Brendan, I have a question for Diane.
Yes.
Does CBN offer remote career or job opportunities with the Prayer Call Center or any other departments?
We do the remote, you're speaking of remote agents working from home?
Yes, that's correct, or off-site.
Yes, it's local right now. We are working on expanding the remote project out to more areas. But right now, if a person lives in Virginia Beach lives in Virginia or the Virginia area, they first would come in and work on site for a period of time, and then they would go through the remote training. And yes, we do deploy people out to work from their homes, both in Virginia Beach, Nashville as well. And we provide the agent at this time, we provide them with the computer, all of the equipment that they'll need. They would just need to have the high-speed internet. And we have about very close to 100, I believe, remote agents out right now that work outside of the building.
That's great, thank you. We have a large population of distant students, so that's helpful to know.
Oh, great, yes.
And Sarah, you get to work with those students quite frequently.
We sure do.
Nice, that's very good.
All right, well, thank you, Diane. Thank you, Sarah, for taking questions from all of the people who were typing. And thank you to all of our employers who decided to go online today and tell us more about the opportunities. We really appreciate it. And of course, CareerLink will have all of those opportunities. And like I said, you can find that now on our career services website, just regent.edu/CS. And you scroll to the bottom and you can log in either as a student or employer. And if you have any questions about that, of course, contact us here in Career Services. So I'm going to go ahead and pray us out today for a successful fair. And just once again, thank you so much. But please join me in a quick word of prayer. Lord Jesus, thank you so much for giving us the gift of technology and the ability to just care for one another's interests, the talents that you've given people. And Lord, I just pray that the words from the employers today would be encouraging to students, that they'll walk away feeling optimistic and energized about potential opportunities. And I just ask that you clearly order and direct everyone's steps who participated today. And of course, Lord, just be with them as they continue in their studies, as they continue in their careers or pursuing their careers, Lord. And we just pray that everything we do is honoring to you. And thank you so much, Father, for this opportunity. I ask that you be with our employers as they're looking to hire and our students as they are looking to make a difference for you. It's in your holy and awesome name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. And like I said, we will follow up with an email with information, obviously the link to CareerLink, and possibly a recording of this presentation in case you want to go back and hear anything again.
Sounds good. All right, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.